Thought to be the stuff of legends and stories, living on top of the clouds only reachable by giant beanstalks, giants have fascinated humanity for centuries. However, modern-day giants are a little different. Here are 10 real-life giants. Andre the Giant. André René Roussimoff was born in 1946 in Grenoble, France. He suffered from gigantism caused by excess growth hormones in his body, causing him to reach a height of 6 foot 3 inches by the time he was 12 years old. He worked on his family farm until he was 17 when he moved to Paris. He was taught how to wrestle from a local promoter and was given the stage name Géant Ferré. Frank Valois came across him in 1966 and became his promoter. When he relocated to Montreal, Quebec in the early 1970s, he became Andre the Giant and stood at 7 foot 4 inches. He also appeared in several movies, including The Princess Bride, before his death in early 1993 when he suffered congestive heart failure in his sleep. Al Tomaini. Aurelio Tomaini, known as Al, was born in 1912 in Long Branch, New Jersey. By the time he was 12 years old, he stood taller than his 6 foot 1 inch father. Since his great-grandfather was also affiliated with great height, his parents thought it best to bring him to the doctor. That was when they discovered he had an overactive pituitary gland. He began traveling with a circus sideshow in the Great Lakes Exposition in 1963, where his claim to fame, in addition to his height of 7 foot 4 inches, were his size 27 shoes. While traveling with the sideshow, he met his wife Jeannie, who was born without legs and measured 2 foot 6 inches tall. They eloped and joined a circus community in Gibsonton, Florida. He was incredibly active in his community, acting as fire chief and helping out before his death in 1962 after battling a pituitary tumor. Andor Gongor. Andor Gongor was born in the mid-1880s in Mongolia. He was the third child of a herding family. During his childhood, he was regular-sized but had long fingers and a large appetite. Unable to afford his eating habits any longer, his parents sent him to another city. He was nearly 7 foot 9 inches in the early 1900s when he was summoned by the spiritual leader of Mongolia at the time. He was given clothes and even a wife, one of the court seamstresses, by Bogd Khan. Gongor's opposition in the court is unknown, as there are many conflicting stories ranging from bodyguard to elephant keeper. He had 4 children with his wife before his death in the late 1920s. Sultan Kösen. Sultan Kösen was born in Mardin, Turkey in 1982. His parents, 3 brothers, and sister are all average height, but due to a tumor on his pituitary gland, Sultan has surpassed them all. He has trouble finding clothes that fit, and sitting in a car is almost impossible given his height. Due to his astonishing height, he needs to walk using crutches. In 2009, when he was 8 foot 1 inch, he was awarded the title of world's tallest living man in the Guinness World Records. He won the title again in 2011 when his height was recorded at 8 foot 3 inches. Doctors have confirmed as well that if not for his poor posture and scoliosis, he would be 8 foot 4 inches if standing straight. He met the world's shortest living man in 2014 as part of a Guinness World Records Day in London. Edouard Beaupré. Edouard Beaupré was born in Willowbunch, Saskatchewan in 1881. He lived his first few years at a normal height, but by the time he was 9 years old, he'd reached 6 feet tall already. He worked with his father as a cattle and horse rancher for several years. Eventually, he traveled with the Barnum and Bailey Circus as part of their sideshow. He was featured as the strong man, lifting 900-pound horses to his shoulders as part of his act. He was the star of the sideshow and was reported to be 8 foot 3 inches. He was also a wrestler in Montreal, Quebec for several years. He died in 1904 of tuberculosis, and the circus displayed his body in St. Louis before it was eventually brought to a Montreal museum. Bernard Coyne. Bernard Coyne was born in Iowa, USA in 1897. By 1918, when his World War I draft card arrived, he was already 8 feet tall. Due to his immense height, he was refused entry to the Army. He suffered from a condition known as daddy longleg syndrome, a form of unicoidal infantile gigantism. The condition is rare and causes a delay to the start of puberty, which allows bones to continue to grow. He eventually reached 8 foot 4 inches as he grew older and was considered the tallest man in the world at the time. His clothes all needed to be custom made, so eventually he learned to knit his own sweaters. When he died in 1921 due to a glandular disorder and hardening of the liver, a special coffin needed to be made and the back doors of the hearse needed to be left open to transport him. Ella Ewing. Ella Ewing was born in 1872 in LaGrange, Missouri. She seemed like all the other children until she was around 7 years old. She began to grow rapidly and soon became known as the Missouri Giant. Despite being self-conscious of her size, when she was offered $1,000 to be displayed at a museum as one of their exhibits, she agreed. Ewing toured with the World's Fair, the Barnum & Bailey Circus, Ringling Brothers, and Buffalo Bill's Wild West Show. With the money she earned, she was able to have a house built and all new custom furniture. She also bought her family a new farm. She was believed to be 8 foot 4 inches tall, but as no records were kept, her actual height has been disputed. In 1910, she left show business and passed away in 1913 of tuberculosis. Leonid Stadnik. Leonid Stadnik was born in the USSR in 1970. He began his life as an average-sized boy until he was 14 years old. He underwent brain surgery and later developed a tumor on his pituitary gland, causing acromegalic gigantism. The tumor began to secrete high levels of growth hormones, and Stadnik began to grow abnormally fast. He became so tall, in fact, that he needed to hold on to objects such as trees or high fences to move about more easily. 20 years after his original surgery, it was discovered that the tumor on his pituitary gland had vanished on its own, and he had stopped growing. He ultimately reached a height of 8 foot 5 inches and needed to wear size 28 shoes. In 2007, he was approached by Guinness World Records, but he was not interested in the title they offered and refused to be measured. Unfortunately, he died from a brain hemorrhage in 2014. John F. Carroll. John Carroll was born in Buffalo, New York in 1932. He suffered from a severe spinal curvature known as kyphoscoliosis and acromegalic gigantism by the time he was 16 years old. He received multiple treatments at the Mercy Hospital in an effort to ease his discomfort and pain. He was known as the Buffalo Giant and measured at 8 feet in late 1959. His doctor said he would have been 8 foot 7 inches if his spine were straight. However, by 1968, he began to shrink as his spinal condition worsened. He died in 1969 and was buried in the Holy Cross Cemetery in Lackawanna, New York. Robert Wadlow. Robert Wadlow was born in Alton, Illinois in 1918. As the eldest of 5 children, Wadlow was already taller than his father by the time he was 8 years old. He suffered from hyperplasia of his pituitary gland, which caused an increase in his growth hormones. By the time he graduated from high school, he was 8 foot 4 inches and showed no signs of stopping. As he grew, he required leg braces to walk and began to have little feeling in his feet and legs. He wore size 25 custom-made shoes and was often referred to as the Giant of Illinois. During an appearance at the Manistee National Forest Festival, his brace rubbed against his ankle and caused a blister. He did not notice and it became infected. Despite receiving medical care, he died in his sleep in 1940. Let us know what you thought of these people and their incredible height down in the comments. Please give this video a thumbs up before you go, and don't forget to subscribe to The Richest for more interesting, fascinating videos daily. Thanks for watching.